Swings it. It's there! Hartman! Jackpot, Kansas City!
With his third Super Bowl title along with his third Super Bowl MVP acquired this past February, Patrick Mahomes has already cemented himself as one of the top 5 all-time great quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, in my opinion. He's done things that other quarterbacks at the same stage in their careers could only dream of accomplishing. And when you look at it, the fact that he has a record in the playoffs of 15-3, only trailing the greats like Joe Montana and Tom Brady, is absolutely absurd. I mean, we all know the buzzword statistics that's been going around when it comes to Mahomes throughout his career so far. 6 straight AFC Championship game appearances with a record of 4-2 in those championship games. When I look at that, it's pretty remarkable that his floor when it comes to the playoffs is losing twice in overtime in a championship game, and in one of those scenarios, he didn't even get to touch the damn ball. Winning 3 championships in a 5-year span in the modern day era of football is something that only the Patriots can hold claim to, and it shows how dominant they've been over the past 5 years as well. Not to mention, when you look at the landscape of the NFL this season when it comes to the Chiefs and you see how they played all year long, it makes it even more ludicrous that he was able to win a Super Bowl this year, considering all the offensive woes they had all year long. Whether that's Kadarius Toney and his mishaps, not being able to catch the ball, not being able to line up properly in multiple different games that end up costing them, to MVS and Justin Watson not being able to hold on to the ball as well, and dropping passes in key pivotal moments and pivotal games they needed to win early on in the season, to some of the sort of turmoil that they had over the sidelines, whether it's Mahomes yelling at the refs or Travis Kelce throwing his equipment. It just seemed like a lot of things were bubbling over throughout the season, and it's actually shocking that they was able to put everything together when it mattered most to win a title. Now, obviously, them having a top 5 defense helps substantially, so I'm not going to blow it out of proportion and act like they were just bad on both sides of the ball and just flip the switch. But going through the Lions' den of AFC opponents when it comes to the playoffs, when it comes to the Bills, when it comes to the Ravens, when it comes to the Dolphins, 3 teams that most people looked at as Super Bowl contenders all year long, to go on a road and beat 2 of those teams and then play in a very, very cold environment at home against the Dolphins and beat them as well, is just very, very, very impressive. And it showed. They did some things that I didn't think they'd be able to do come playoff time. They showed that they were able to have the championship pedigree, the championship IQ to be able to put games together and beat these teams en route to their Super Bowl championship. Now, I'll be honest, through the first 3 quarters of Super Bowl 58, it seemed like we were watching a rerun of the Bucs-Chiefs Super Bowl a few years ago where Mahomes looked erratic, had little protection from his O-line, and receivers weren't helping him in the slides in terms of catching the ball. It was to the point that he was playing so bad that Tayshaun Gibson, a safety for the San Francisco 49ers, said this on the sideline after Mahomes threw his one and only interception in the game.
He's just a regular quarterback, bro. Regular. He regular, bro. And we're going to make his ass look regular. Keep doing it.
You serious?
Now, I don't know what the hell Gibson was thinking in that moment besides being way too overconfident, but he might have thought poking the bear was a safe option at that point in the game. But as Mahomes and the Chiefs would show later in this game, that was definitely a huge and critically bad mistake. Because unlike the Bucs Super Bowl loss, when it came to the fourth quarter, when the fourth quarter came and arrived, so did Mahomes and company. Mahomes was fantastic. He was amazing. He was on point, decisive with the football, made plays with his legs on key 3rd and 4th downs when they needed it. He showed incredible poise and composure in the overtime drive that won them the game as well. And as someone who was rooting for the 49ers to win this game, I knew at multiple points during the end of the fourth quarter and in overtime that the Niners were pretty much screwed. Seeing Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk on the sidelines with a look of desperation and worry after they couldn't score a touchdown in overtime on their overtime drive, and having to watch Mahomes meticulously march up the field to win must have been unbearable. It's one of those feelings of pure inevitability that no matter what these teams do in every facet of the game, one mistake, One bad quarter, one bad defensive possession, one bad special teams play could cost you the game and cost you everything versus Mahomes. And what's really scary for the rest of the league going forward is that he's not going anywhere. He's 28 years old, just entering the prime of his career, and neither is Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, or the rest of that defense for the most part. They just re-signed Steve Spagnuolo to a better deal, and with the cap space and the cap money going up overall for the NFL, their chances of re-signing Chris Jones and Snead go up exponentially as well. The bottom line when it comes to Mahomes and the Chiefs is you're going to have to deal with them if you want to hoist the Lombardi trophy. You're going to have to be able to get by them to win. That's just what it is. Now, when you look at the landscape of the league when it comes to the upper echelon, the quarterback talent all around the league, to me, it's the best it's ever been in terms of pure athletes at the position. But when you look at the other good quarterbacks in the NFL that Mahomes has had to contend with in the league, he's clearly lapping these guys in terms of accomplishments and accolades. I mean, like, if you go down the totem pole and list, when you look at Joe Burrow, who's been the only active quarterback to beat Mahomes in the playoffs, he's been great for the most part throughout his tenure with the Cincinnati Bengals. But the one biggest flaw when it comes to him is that he struggled to stay healthy throughout his career so far. And in the one opportunity that Burrow had to win a Super Bowl, he didn't get it done. Now, all of that wasn't his fault. I'm not putting all the blame upon him. But obviously, when you look back at the history books, and when most people look back at the history books 20 years, 30, 40 years from now, people are going to forget the small details. They're not going to remember a terrible holding call that the Rams got that put them in position to win that game. They're just going to remember the fact that Joe Burrow had the ball late in Super Bowl and he didn't get it done. And when you move forward and look at guys like Josh Allen, another good quarterback who's gone toe-to-toe with Mahomes and not blinked outside of the 2020 AFC Championship game loss, in my opinion, when I look at him, he's the most physically gifted quarterback in the league. But he hasn't been able to get over the Mahomes obstacle to even get to a Super Bowl. So to me, he's on the outside looking in at his damn self. And when you move forward and look at a guy like Lamar Jackson, who just got done winning his second regular season MVP and had a good season by his own standards, he's another guy who's come up small for the most part in the playoffs when it comes to his career, as he lost at home this past season with the best defense he's ever had and the best defense in the league to Mahomes and the Chiefs. Not to mention the fact that he did not play well in that game at all for the most part. So he's another guy who's on the outside looking in as well. Hell, then you got other guys like, Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa, who have both shown the ability to play at an elite MVP level, more so Hurts, but they haven't been able to find the longevity level of success when it comes to winning. Yes, Hurts made it to the Super Bowl last year, but he tapered off this year in terms of his statistics and his overall play throughout the entirety of the season. Obviously, it wasn't all his fault. They dealt with injuries, but you get the point. And Tua, same thing. Too many injuries late when it comes to their team, and his play really tapered off in games, pivotal games they really needed him to perform well, especially that Buffalo Bills game that they needed to win to get the second seed, and they choked. And hey, there's a lot of other guys that I didn't mention in terms of the CJ Strouds, the Justin Herberts, the Trevor Lawrences of the world, guys who have all of the physical and athletic traits and gifts to be successful in the National Football League and to possibly win a Super Bowl in the years to come. When it comes to CJ Stroud, obviously he's a supremely talented guy in terms of his athleticism, what he can do. In terms of everything he's been able to accomplish so far, I've been marveled at what he's been able to do, But like I said, a young head coach in DeMeco Ryans, who's proven to be really, really good as a head coach so far, they're going to have an uphill battle in the years to come to see what they can do. Obviously, when it comes to Justin Herbert with Brandon Staley getting ushered out probably a year too late, in my opinion, and having Jim Harbaugh ushered in is going to be a different environment when it comes to the Los Angeles Chargers and what they can do in terms of a team. It should be interesting to watch what they do. And like I said, even with Trevor Lawrence, you got a Super Bowl winning head coach in Doug Peterson, but their defense wasn't very good this past season and really struggled late down the stretch in the season, which kind of cost them along with his injuries, which didn't help as well. But the point of me bringing all of these other quarterbacks up is the fact that all of them have great talent and high upside as players and have proven that they can be effective in the league in the playoffs, but none of them have been able to accomplish what Mahomes and the Chiefs have accomplished over the past 5-6 years. It's partly the reason why the media, in my opinion, continues to make this Mahomes Brady debate a part of the conversation when it comes to discussing Mahomes' greatness. If I were any of the other opposing quarterbacks, top quarterbacks that go against Mahomes this season that are in the league, I'd be more so annoyed and motivated going into the 2024 season coming up. At some point, something's got to give when it comes to Mahomes in the NFL. At some point, somebody's going to have to step up and be his worthy adversary or roadblock to stop him from winning title after title. If nobody steps up, Mahomes is going to continue racking off championship after championship and break the fabric of what we thought was physically and virtually possible in an NFL quarterback career. We'll see what happens in the years to come, and we'll see what happens come 2024. But that's all I got to say on this topic. Thank you guys all for watching. And as always, until we meet again.